Welcome to this episode of the Profitable Home Services Podcast. This is the podcast where we dig deep into profit and cash flow leaks in your business. We're so glad you could join us. Our guest today is Joe Pallo. He is the author of Get out of my face. Whoops, that's not going to work. How to Sell Nothing. And it says the logical way to make the emotional sale. When I first picked this book up, I could not put it down. Hence, I had to reach out to him and get him on the podcast. So welcome, Joe. Let me just read your bio here. It's a long one, so hang on, everybody. Having sold many millions of dollars in goods and services across industries, including financial services, technology, agriculture, and trained hundreds of top producers to exceed their own aggressive sales goals, sales coach and game-changing trainer to top producers, Joe Pallo attributes success to one powerful truth. Making an emotional connection with clients matters more than any sale made with logic. And I say, I agree wholeheartedly on that one. Drawing from 35 plus years of commission sales and 30,000 plus sales calls, Joe Pallo is a top sales producer who first earned his hard knocks and big rewards with door-to-door selling. He's developed proven systems and processes through which hundreds of top producers double or triple their business without investing additional time. Clients include nonprofit organizations, defense contractors, financial advisors, the top mortgage broker in the United States, and an Olympic champion and flag bearer. A powerful storyteller quoted on Forbes.com and beyond, who coaches, teaches, and trains by powerful and memorable example, Joe is the first to say that whether you're selling chicken, financial services, or high technology, the same core principles apply. Clients work with Joe on a one-on-one basis through group training programs and through keynotes and breakout sessions at industry conferences and special events. Joe's book, How to Sell Nothing, The Salesperson's Guide to What Really Happens During a Sale, shares the logical way to make an emotional sale and can be an excellent primer to share with anyone on your team to start the culture shift in your organization instantly. Joe financed his Bachelor of Science degree from North Dakota State University by selling books door to door for the Southwestern Company of Nashville, Tennessee. He also developed other college students to run their own individual sales organizations under his leadership. He served as a sales trainer with the Tom James Company, worked with numerous startups and family-run businesses, and consulted with Fortune 500 companies. In 2017, Joe quietly debuted Sell Nothing LLC to bring his passion for helping businesses in the area of sales, coaching, training, consulting, and speaking. His relationship-building skills have brought quality clients to his care and service since, without having a website or any social media presence to speak of. As a coach, he focuses on making sure that the basic sales principles are understood and implemented. He adds a layer of accountability while also training and modeling relationship-building skills. Combining these key ideas, clients improve their results beyond what they ever dreamed was possible, while welcoming more success in less time and with greater ease. Now that things are successfully cooking with gas at Sell Nothing LLC, Joe has debuted this website and a LinkedIn profile, Facebook profile, so he can touch and transform the careers and lives of more top performers worldwide. On the personal side, Joe is married to his best friend, Lisa. They live in Shoreview, Minnesota, and have 4 children. Evidence of his overachiever personality, the goal was to have 3 kids. A home improvement nut, Joe has built everything from forts, playhouses, stages, swings, and tree houses to chicken coops. He quips it was all for fun because he won't break even on the chicken coops for 17 years. Always looking for more projects for the kids, or as his wife likes to say, another reason to buy a new tool. In his spare time, he enjoys reading, camping, and cooking. Welcome to the show, Joe.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
And I'm going to say, in complete transparency, I met Joe a month or so ago from the time we're recording this.
Yep.
I was gifted his book, started reading it, and we set up an appointment, and I have signed up for his coaching program because I need to improve my sales skills because I am definitely not a salesperson. So I'm hoping
I'm
that
glad to
Joe
be working
can
with you.
transform that.
I'm not worried. I think we can.
Oh,
We're good.
goody.
Yes, 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 yes.
So Joe, my question for you today is our audience is mainly home service businesses. We've got your roofers, your plumbers, your electricians, your landscapers, those types of guys. They've all gone into business because they're good at what they do. Nobody told them that in addition to being good at what you do, you're going to have to run a business. You're going to have to sell. So you have money coming in that business. You're going to have to keep track of your records. You're going to have to do your marketing. You're going to have to do your advertising. You're going to have to be your HR department. You're going to have to babysit your employees. You're going to have to do all this stuff.
Yep.
How does a smaller home service business owner hit the sales you're right on when they've got so many balls in the air?
That's just a really easy question. Wait a second. Yeah. Well, I think the first thing, it's our thinking about sales in general. You hear this all the time, and it's been, Joe, you're a born salesperson. I really don't believe that because people aren't born plumbers. They're not born roofers. They're not born electricians. It is, you can have a skill set that you're good with your hands or you're good in sales, but it can be a learned skill. That's the first thing. Even though most of your audiences, I don't think they grew up thinking, I want to be in sales. That's fine. And that's probably a good thing. I think there could be a big percentage of them that sales is maybe a 4-letter word. It's icky. They think of the used car salesman. And it's just our perspective of that is really the essence of how to sell nothing. It's a relationship. I'm not a good salesperson, but people buy from me all the time. And there's a difference there. Sales is you're trying to really push your product on them. That's what historically I wanted to figure out, how can I fix them? What do they need? It's a servant selling mentality. If I could have people, and I coach on this, tell me what they want and why they want it, I just sell that. It's a lot easier of just doing that. They need to tell me what they want and why they want it. Then I can work, then I can do the sales. And if I have a match, that's awesome. If I don't, then it's a no.
And I love that you just said that. If I have a match, it's awesome. If I don't, it's okay. I think
Yep.
oftentimes we get into the mindset of, if I let this sale go, there's not going to be enough. If I don't make this sale, I can't make payroll next week or next month. If I can't do this, and that puts pressure on it, and it becomes a sale, not a serving.
Agreed.
Because if we're serving our customers, all the way from me as an accountant and coach to you as a coach, consultant, and salesperson, if we're serving our customers in their best manner, it's not a sale. We're actually doing a disservice to them if we withhold what we have to offer.
Yep.
And that's a complete different mindset than, if I don't make this sale, I can't make payroll next week.
It's
Mindset.
well, I call it commission breath. It's
Uh-huh.
nasty stuff. And your clients know when you have to make a sale.
Yeah.
The quick cure for that, because that is legitimate. You have a small business, you do have to make payroll, and that is a thought. But it's the consistent activity that will always win the day. If you're consistently doing your activity, your outbound sales activities, that will minimize that need to sell. Also, with sales, a good check on it. I always say, whoever's talking is buying. In a selling situation, if I'm selling you and I'm talking more than you are, I am buying your objections. If I get you
Wow.
talking more than me, you're buying whatever it is I'm saying. I'm selling.
Would you say that again? That is so cool.
Whoever is talking is buying. And I ask your audience, think back of your last couple sales calls. Who did more talking? If you are talking more than they are, you are buying their objections. We'll wait till next summer. We'll do it next year. We won't do the porch or whatever the activity, the project is. We need to get them talking, and that's asking questions. That's a great check. Whoever is talking is buying. See if you can get them talking. The only way you can get them talking is by asking questions.
On my monitor, I have a little sticky note because I'm really super high tech that has the letters WAIT. Why am I talking?
I
And
may
that,
steal that. I may steal that. I'll give you credit for it for like 2 weeks, and then it's mine.
okay, I
But I
got it
do
from
like that.
somebody
Yes,
else.
yes, yes.
I can't remember who, but I thought it's a great reminder to have on my monitor when I'm on a call with somebody, and mine are my profit impact calls. I'm on a call with somebody, like, Diane, shut your mouth, ask a questions and shut up. They don't
Um,
need my story. Ask a question and let them talk.
oh, I agree. I use a lot of it's kind of silly stories, but the ideas behind it are pretty solid. Um, this is a good, maybe helpful to characterize this or couch this mentally. Um, we're talking about having the clients tell us what they want and why and how important that is. Okay, that's what we're trying to do. Here's an example, not at all related to sales, but let's say that you're having headaches and your doctor recommends you go to a specialist, a new doctor. And you get there early, like we always try to do. You spend 10 minutes in the waiting room. They call your name. You graduate. You go in the exam room, and uh, you only have like 3 minutes with the doctor. They're peer rated. We don't have a lot of time with that doctor. And this is the first time I'm meeting this doctor. And he comes in the room, shakes my hand, and says, "Joe, nice to meet you." And he points to a plaque on the wall and says, "Here's where I did my undergrad. I interned over here. Here's where I did my residency. Here's a list of my clients and their body mass index. And I've got a really healthy group. And over here, this is how much money we've raised the community. We're really philanthropic. We believe in helping those less fortunate. And here, we're going to build a maternity ward. It's going to rival Mayo up in Minnesota. And oh, shoot, I looked at the clock. You having headaches? Why don't you take 2 aspirin and call me in a week?" That is so repulsive. That is just the odds of us taking his prescription or recommendation are zero because he doesn't really know. Doctors can't fix you until you tell them how or why. I can't sell anyone until they tell me how or why. And those of us who are in leadership and have teams and are managing other people, we can't lead anyone until they tell us how or why. That doctor's asking questions are bragging. He did a show up, throw up, just puked about how good and great and wonderful he is. I did this and I did this. I don't care. Fix me. Meaning, you should be asking, what's your family history like? What's your diet like? What's your stress level like? The fact that he's bragging about a maternity ward is good, but I've got 4 kids. I really don't want to go in one of those rooms again. I'm glad he has it, but it's not for me. So it's doctors can't fix you until you tell them how or why. I can't sell anyone until I tell them how or why. That's the job of a salesperson. That's my first job.
So, Joe, could these same concepts that you're talking about work with our teams? That we might ask them questions, not that we're trying to sell them something, but to
Well,
get them talking to find out what are they looking for? What do they need from us as a leader?
well, yeah, I do have a plan, and it's little like having a battle plan. The night before the battle, you have your map, everything mapped out and ready to go. The battle starts. You take the plan, you chuck it out the window. Well, that's like our sales calls. We think they're going to go a certain way, they don't. So I developed a process. It's earning, EARNING, because we have to earn the right to ask for the next step. And it's not going to be ideal for all of your audience. Take the best and leave the rest. The pieces that resonate, go ahead and use those. But this is just going to cover them all. Each letter stands for a topic that I want to address. The E just stands for I want to evaluate their current reality. I need to ask questions. I need to know what they currently have. Let's just say it's a homeowner looking at building a porch, something like that, or that's what they want to do. Well, I need to know all of what they have right now. Or another way of looking at it, if I'm going to make an apples to apples comparison, I need to ask enough questions, or I need to know what type of apples they have to start with. If I'm doing apples to oranges, I still need to ask about what they've had. If I'm showing them something different, a new porch, because they're not going to really take my advice until they have a good feeling, okay, Joe gets me. So I think we can do a pretty good job of that in sales. We look around at what they have, we do that, but I just want to make sure I get all of the details out. What do they have with it? That's the E. The A is what are the advantages of what they have right now? And I get pushback on that. A lot of times people say, Joe, I don't like asking them, what do you like about your old deck? Because I'm almost talking them into keeping it. And I bounced back. I said, I love asking that question for a couple of reasons. One, no one else does that. I
No.
get different results because I do things different. My clients get different results because they do things different. So it differentiates us right from the start. Me asking what they like about it, that screams confidence. I mean, business is given to confident people. If I'm asking about what the current competitor, or if it's a different vendor, or if it's what they have, that screams confidence. And that's how business is won, by confident people. But the biggest reason, if I ask, what do you like about it? They're telling me they're hot buttons. Whatever they like. When I say what, back in my mind, I'm thinking, I got to have that piece. I got to close on that. Maybe it's 5 minutes or 5 weeks or 5 months. And I'm not going to know unless I ask them. So that's the E and the A. R, we're going through earning. R is revise. What do they want to change? This is the major reason why they're going to go forward. And we need to ask that, but let's not lead off with that. And I almost think that if people are talking to me, they have a problem in sales or they want to get better at something. Otherwise, I wouldn't be there. We're too busy. If we're talking to someone, you have a legitimate opportunity. Nowadays, it used to not be that way. People, maybe professional coffee drinkers. If we're talking to somebody, there's a problem there. So that's an EAR. N is no. Who can say no? Who are the decision makers? There are sometimes I'll back out if I don't have everybody there. Sometimes you can't. You have to professionally and properly. But I want to make sure I have all the decision makers there. And I want to clarify that. Is this all making sense? Any
It
questions?
is.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
loving it. Keep going.
EARNI. This is, if your audience members want one thing that they can do tomorrow, I is interpret back what they just said. So just for clarity, I'm just going to read back what I just heard. And I'm taking notes when I'm asking all these questions because I know I'm going to repeat it back. That's a huge thing. Biggest complaint in sales is nobody listens to me. Well, I'm listening to you. And you'll start hearing things like, oh, Pallo, you said it better than I did. And mentally, I'm on the same side of the table as they're on. And I have not even started selling. It's a great spot to be in. And it's just, there's no pressure. I'm not a high pressure person. I don't believe in it. But this is just a really good way. Just take a minute and I want to make sure I heard what you said right. Can I repeat back what you just said? And they said, yep, and go through and do it. Huge, huge piece there. Second N, nothing. What if nothing changes? And I ask this to create a sense of urgency. You know, if you don't, they'll think, oh, we can do it next summer, or we can do it next summer. 95% of the time when I ask, what if nothing changes, they'll give me a fluff answer. I'll ask, what else? I'll push back on that. I want to get a little more because I need that sense of urgency in order to get the next step. And then the G is the gain. What's the pay value? If you have the new deck done and you have maybe it's your daughter's, maybe if by asking all those questions, you find out they have a son that's going to have a high school graduation. Well, now I can have the reception in the backyard. It's taking those times to give them a reason to do that. So it's EARNING. And I tell my clients, print it out, put it by your keyboard or whenever you're making these calls, and just go through those pieces. Again, you don't have to use them all. Some may not apply, but it's a great guide and it gets them talking. I'm actually, if you go to convertsalesfaster.com, it's a free download right there. You can print it out and have it there.
Thank you for sharing that because I think in today's society, I won't say the number one need, but one of the top needs is people need to felt heard. We're going at such a fast pace. Everybody's, on their phones, just clicking away or on their computer, clicking away. And it's all about me. I'm pushing data out there, but nobody's hearing me. Nobody's feeling heard. Even in, let's say you go to your Facebook page or your LinkedIn page and you've got all these followers and friends and stuff, but in reality, they're not your friends. You're not feeling heard. But when you just said, can I repeat that back to you? You validated them as a person. You validated them as something important. It was worth listening to. And by the way, I was taking notes. I've never seen a salesperson do that before. I'm taking notes and then let me repeat that back to you. That just put you in such a different stratosphere than everybody else because they felt heard and they felt important.
And I'd add to that, if you think about it, if you go through that process, it's just natural. the ickiness of sales goes away. You start getting people, well, what do we do next? They start closing themselves because I'm not really doing that. Now, I will add on one other thing, and it's a big thing. In sales, there's two sales or two buckets that need to be filled. There's a logical sale or logical bucket. There's an emotional sale or emotional bucket. They're both important. We know that.
Mhm.
But I ask, which is more important? We all know it's the emotional one. The logical one is needed, and it is important because it confirms the sale. Our clients, our prospects want us to go logical. We want to go logical, and
Well,
we
it's
have to.
easier.
Yes, it's easy. The logical bucket is filled with my voice because I'm the expert. Okay. Now, the emotional bucket, that's, I think, more important because that makes the sale happen.
Because
Logically,
their
they need to
voice.
have, but the emotional bucket needs to be filled with their voice. Yes.
Okay.
It's what they want and why they want it. And emotions are weird and fickle things and they change all the time. They don't even make sense, but that's what causes them to act. If
And
we have both, I'm sorry.
how many times do we start listing all the features and the benefits, and this is what's going to happen, and life's going to be great because you've got all this stuff happening, and they're like, I don't care. I need that emotional side, Phil.
That's, I mean, a really good point that we have both buckets. We do our first presentation. We have both buckets full. Can you come back in 2 weeks and I want to see your proposal? That's like when with your clients, with your audience, that's what they do. They'll go out and have a discussion. They have to come back and say, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to build the new deck. This is what's going to look like. So there's time. We have both buckets filled. We got the next step. Let's talk about the buckets. The logical bucket's finite. If you have a bucket that's filled with water, it's impossible to put more water in it. If you have a client logically sold, it's impossible to sell logic. And again, the logical bucket's filled with my voice, the salesperson. The emotional bucket, that has holes in it. How many times, I imagine it happens a ton with your audience. You go out and have a great meeting, a great conversation with a couple. They want to do a project. They'll come back in 2 weeks and it's different. Well, the emotional bucket's empty and they're selling logic.
I've had that happen to me from one meeting to the next. It's like, I thought we had this closed. I thought we were moving forward, and what just happened? And I didn't
Yep.
understand why.
Yeah. So all that, when you're going through that earning process, you're taking those notes, we need to bring that up at the second meeting. We need to get their voice filled up with that emotional bucket. So let's just say we're talking about the building an addition on a deck. Just say, hey, I got your proposal here. They want to go logic. They want to see the numbers, and I do too. See, before I do that, I just want to touch base. What's motivating you to do this in the first place? That's them talking, and that's them filling up their emotional bucket. I'm not going to engage until I get that emotional bucket filled because I'm going to get it. I need to think about it. Call me next year. Call me next quarter.
Okay.
That's my job. And the emotional bucket is filled with what I call dig in questions. You get a question and you dig in and get more.
Mhm.
And basically a dig in question is just me, whatever they say, I'm thinking, well, why is that? Well, why is that? Well, why is that? Well, why
Tell
is
me
that? And you
more.
can't do that because that's creepy and weird. So a digging question is just a different way of saying, why is that? What else is a digging question?
Okay, I
You know,
have
we
to
just,
confess. I typed up your dig in questions and they're taped up to the bottom of my monitor.
awesome, awesome. Because it's that's what I need to fill up their emotional bucket.
Mhm.
You know, it's what else? What do you mean? How so? What does that look like? Can you tell me more? Can you give me an example? I'll ask digging question after digging question because that's getting their voice, whoever's talking is buying, to fill up their emotional bucket. That's what I start out every meeting. I got to check that emotional bucket. I got to see how full it is. Because if they don't understand or remember why they're doing it, I'm going to get angry to think about it. And it's really awesome if you're talking to a husband and wife or a spouse. Um, you could be talking to one, they're saying why they want it. They're selling for you. You're just sitting back. It's there's no pressure. But that's my job. When you get that, it's just like, it's easier to sell what they want to buy than sell what I want to sell. I want to sell the new project. What they want to buy is a space outdoor for the kids, the pool, the whatever it is. Just sell that.
So at what point do you switch from their emotional bucket is full? You've been asking these questions. When do you switch over to the logical then? and show them the actual
I
proposal.
do it simultaneously. It's when I'm
Okay.
going through that earning process, EARNING,
Mhm.
I'm sprinkling in the digging questions at the exact same time.
Okay.
And that's what I'm going to repeat back as well. I'm going to repeat back their emotional piece. And the value is they need to say it. That's the key piece. When you come back, like I said, we had that good meeting with somebody. You had a family there. Everyone's excited. You come back 2 weeks later, that emotional bucket's empty. We need to get them talking about it again. We can't do it with our voice. That's some people will make that mistake. So I strive to never teach, speak, train, coach, or sell until I've got them emotionally engaged with why they want it from what I talked about before.
That is ingenious.
It's selling nothing. That's the
It
essence of
is.
selling
It is
nothing.
selling nothing. And
Yep.
I think of over the years, how many times I've lost somebody because number one, I didn't have the decision maker on with me.
Mm-hmm.
I had somebody else, didn't realize it up front, didn't know enough to ask those questions up front. Know a little bit more now, but didn't have the right decision maker, didn't have the other partner there. Well, I need to go talk to my partner about it, need to
Yep.
talk to my spouse, but whatever. And then from there on, forget it, you've lost it.
Yeah.
And
how much time we've lost doing that.
yes.
And if I don't have them there, let's just say I'm selling a deck. If I'm talking to, one partner, just curious, is this your decision or are there other people involved? Yeah, that's fine. You sure? Because listen, if I want to make sure we get everyone involved, are you gonna be the only one using the porch? Well, no, my wife and kids are. Let's get them involved too, because otherwise it doesn't make sense.
Right.
I will push back on that piece. I really want to have both people there if I can. Again, it's not 100%, but I don't think I'm going to close unless I have them there.
That's a great example. Making sure we've got the right people in the room.
Yep. Well, you also look at it too. During this process, you find if you can work with this person. I think a big mistake we make is we take on business that's something my gut tells me this is going to be a bad deal. You're right.
And you
You're right.
do it because you're being pressured in some other area of your business.
Yeah.
You got to meet a goal somewhere, whether it's, I got to make payroll. I've got another big expense coming up, or I've got to keep my guys busy. So we'll just take on this job. It'll be okay.
Just this one.
Yeah, just this
Yeah.
one. It'll be okay.
Yep.
And they never are.
Nope.
Your gut's telling you something, you need to listen.
Can I share one other thought?
You bet.
You said how many times in the past, I imagine your listeners are thinking the same thing of, man, this is exactly what happened. This is where I lost that deal. I lost that account. They're not lost. They're just half sold. If we think about it, a way to apply this for everyone in the business, go back, pick out 5 people that are just kind of sitting. They've gone quiet on you. They don't know. They're half sold. If you can just get and re-engage with them and just make the emotional sale, you can turn around that business that's lost relatively quick.
Really?
Well, if we have the logical bucket filled, they know they should do it.
Uh-huh.
They're not going to close. They're not going to move forward until I fill up the emotional bucket. Well, okay, let's go back in and say, hey, I know we talked about 6 months ago about building your front porch. We got some new products in. Just want to stop in and just touch base with you. It's not necessarily a sales call, but my call is there to get them. What was motivating you to do this in the first place?
Okay.
That's filling up their emotional bucket. Well, tell me more about that. Well, what would that look like? Well, could you give me an example? All of a sudden that emotional bucket fills and they may say, yeah, I'm glad you stopped by. I think we're ready to do it, because they were just half sold and we left them.
Wow. And here we wrote them off as, whoop, that sale's gone.
No.
Next.
Nope. Well,
Right.
and and I do have that mentality. If I can't get them emotionally engaged, then I'm like, next, I'm on.
Mhm.
But my job as a salesperson is to get them to tell me what they want and why they want it and just sell that. And my confidence in closing is, how could I not? If you went through this process, let's say we were on a sales call and I was running the sales call and I did the earning piece, and all through I had sprinkled all these digging questions and we recorded that whole conversation. And I was asking digging question after digging question after digging question. We got back and we edited out my voice. We would have a person sitting there saying, this is what I want. This is why I want it. This is what I like about it. I'm in charge of this. This is when I want it done. And we've talked about why. Just sell that.
Oh my goodness.
It's that easy.
This is amazing. You just make it sound so simple. I'm looking forward to going through your course.
Well, I am too. It's the right way to sell people. All that ickiness goes away.
Mhm.
I'm completely confident when I close because they've told me what they want and why they want it. We're just making a transaction then. And it's
Wow.
the right way to sell people. It's the right way
It
to
is.
work with people.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're finding out early on if you really are a good fit or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you're not, don't waste their time and don't waste your time.
It'll come back and bite you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. All right, Joe. I'm going to hit you with my zinger question that we ask on every podcast interview.
Mhm.
The whole purpose behind this podcast is to uncover hidden profit links. Every business has a hidden profit leak or a whole bunch of them. And I'm kind of thinking you probably already told us, but what would be a hidden profit leak that you've seen in the sales process? Is it letting those leads just stay dead?
Um, One, it's the emotional selling. That's one, but I'm going to give you two answers if I can,
Okay.
because I just don't want to say repeat back. Um, but I think it's equally as valuable. It's the value of referrals.
Okay.
Um, it's you've heard the saying a good defense is a strong defense is a good offense. Well, yeah, you need both. We need to guard our profits, make sure we're profitable, but we also have new business coming in. Um, I believe this and I coach on this that referrals are more important than the sale.
Okay.
Referrals are more important than the sale. And that comes from years ago when I was selling custom suits. Sent a mailer to a guy at St. Paul Company, his insurance company up here. Went in, sold him some suits, not even delivered them. The same 45-minute meeting, he gave me 3 referrals. 2 years later, I had 150 clients at St. Paul Companies. I had my own ID. I had my own parking spot. There's no way his business could have equaled what came from that referral tree. The same is true with your audience. They're in
Right.
neighborhoods, they're going to know other people. And it's a process and it is a sale. That is missing all the time. Referrals, the average referral that people get is maybe one a month, and they probably don't ask for it. They're passive. There's nothing
Well,
passive about referrals.
I'm gonna put my hand up. I'm totally guilty of that. Don't
Yep.
even think to ask about them.
Yep.
I'm too busy trying to follow my script.
We'll get you there. We'll get you there.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. But that if that's a big piece, uh, you've got people you've just done work for. They're right there. They're happy.
Happy.
It's
Yeah.
about as good as it's going to get in the relationship. There is a process to ask for referrals the right way.
That
And
doesn't feel sleazy or whatever. Yeah.
no, same as like sales. Sales, I'd feel bad about sales. Well, if you do it the right way, it's all right. Or if you
Mhm.
ask about referrals the right way, it's fine. We can
Wow.
talk about referrals on another podcast if you want. We can do that. Well, if you want, we can do that as well.
We just may be bringing you back on and talk about part 2 on referrals because I think that most of us don't ask for referrals. You get
I-
so focused on, I got to do this and now this and then this and this, close the sale, get this book, get this taken care of, get the job done, and get on to the next
Yep.
one. And they
And
don't
they're
even
doing all that, and they're making getting on to the next one harder. They're
right.
doing all that stuff so they can, but they're doing nothing about that. Here's a thought on that. Um, when we started selling, and again, most of us didn't grow up thinking we're going to be in sales. We were horrible. When we started, I mean, I started saying I sucked at sales. I was bad. But through repetition and practice, we've gotten pretty good. Maybe it's at establishing rapport, or creating a buying atmosphere, or establishing trust, or closing. We've gotten where we're maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, we're about a 7 or 8. When it comes to referrals, most of us are still rookies.
We're
And
still
we've
ones. Yeah.
never let this one part of our business that has the
Yeah.
biggest potential to exponentially help you grow. We're still rookies. We still wing it. We're passive. We'd say it maybe kind of like to have a referral if it's not so much trouble. Oh, never mind. Here's a business card. It's
Let's
just
go even one step down from there. Oh, they like what I do. They'll just send me somebody.
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
But that would be my piece that uh, getting them emotionally engaged is one, followed up with referrals, introductions.
Wow. This has been an amazing episode. Thank you so much for coming and sharing with our listeners. I am excited to finish reading your book. I'm a little over halfway, had to put it down and work on tax returns.
Yep.
Get it picked back up, get going in your program, and just watch the difference that it's going to make in my own life going forward. And I am the first one to say I'm totally guilty about not even asking for referrals. If I get one, I'm almost shocked that I
Sure.
got a referral
Sure.
because I don't even think to ask for it.
Yeah.
So
It's there all the time. I hear that all the time, and
yeah.
I've enjoyed being on your show. And again, if you go to Convert Sales Faster, it's a free download that'll walk you through the earning piece. Print that out, have that as far as your blueprint of how you're having your conversations. It'll move the needle.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing
Yep.
that with us.
Sure.
I'm hoping that every one of our listeners will take a minute and go in and download that earnings piece and start implementing it right away. And I'm sure, Joe, where can they get a copy of your book?
It's on Amazon, or you can go to sellnothing.co.
Okay.
Either one. It's co, not .com. I couldn't afford the M because a Bitcoin company bought sellnothing.com, and they wanted like 15,000 for the M.
Oh, goodness.
So it's sellnothing.co. You can get the book there, or it's available on Amazon. I also have an audio version on
Okay.
Amazon as well.
All righty. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm going to say this is a wrap for this episode of the Profitable Home Services Podcast. Remember, it's not how much money you make, it's how much you keep. That is the important bottom line number, always is our bottom line profits. And if you'd like a free digital copy of my book, Your Path to Profits, where I share 9 profit boosting tactics that will transform your service business, head on over to yourpathtoprofitbooks.com. Thank you again, Joe. This has been amazing. I am looking forward to part 2. Let's come back and talk about referrals.
Sounds good. Look forward to it.
All right. Thank you.